Hi, I'm Crystal with One Plant Sorta Crazy. Today I have an opportunity to show you guys how to help a plant that has rust disease. So I had a dentist appointment this morning, and all of the lovely ladies down at the office I go to know that I love plants, and I always walk around and check the ones they have. And this beautiful, wonderful Berkin was sitting over in the corner, and I always check on it, and it's about double the size that it was last time I went in my cleanings. However, and I'll be putting some pictures in the video, there is definite signs of some rust disease. So I'm gonna bring this up here and we'll see if we can do it close up. So in the leaves, you should be able to see that we have these little yellow dots everywhere. It's really prominent on this one. There's another one over here where we have another area where we can see those dots. We also have some on some of the higher growth up at the top. I did notice some up here as well. The other thing that I notice is the bottom of this pot is kind of icky and it's got some just funk to it. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking this guy out of the pot, and then I'm gonna go, after I see what the roots look like, and go out to the garage and pick out a new pot for it that's gonna fit right. And then, because I like to give a little bit of love with plants, I think I'm gonna take these little Brazil philodendrons that I've had propagating forever. I think like 7 months. I don't know, they've been there forever, probably not that long. And then also this sad little neon pothos that was in one of my windows, kind of got scraggly, forgotten about. I pulled it apart. I've got it in some moss right now, just a root. Pull that little leaf off, and I'm actually gonna stick this whole bottom part kind of on the top, but in the soil, to see if we can get some more root points and get some more fullness going on and add a little bit of color to the Berkin after we're done caring for it. So for the first part of the video, we're gonna go through and we're gonna talk about what we need to do to care for the Berkin to try to help. So rust disease, I'm still learning about it. I just know the basics. So I am not by any means any expert whatsoever. I am just a Joe Schmo that loves plants and knows enough to be able to let them grow in my home and thrive and take care of them when they have issues, pretty much almost the same way regardless of what it is. And then if I don't know, I go out and research. So what I have found with rust disease is, one, this leaf is going to come off. This bottom one, I am also going to take it off. So I'm going to remove the two most infected lower leaves that are showing the signs clear as day. The second thing that I'm going to do is, after we remove this from the soil, I have a mix on my table, which I'll move this and we're going to mix it together. And my mix here is going to have my neem oil solution. Yeah, it's nasty. I keep it out in the garage. It sits with all of the other chemicals and things out there. I have a little spray bottle here that I've already just filled up with some tap water. And then I just have my normal Dawn dish soap from the kitchen. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna mix a little bit of this in with the water, shake it up first, and then we're gonna add the Dawn and lightly shake it. If you add the Dawn dish soap before you add the water, you're gonna get a poof. If you add the Dawn dish soap after you put the water, but when you put the neem oil and you shake it all up, you're gonna have a poof. So I kind of do it in a little bit of steps. The other thing that we're gonna do is we are going to inspect the roots. We're gonna see how they look. I do have some cinnamon. We're gonna be using our cinnamon on the cuts for the leaves. We're also going to use it on any area under the soil once we can see it, if there are any concerns. If there aren't, hey, I'm not gonna use it on there. And then lastly, I'm gonna put a couple drops of my hydroponic fertilizer that I really like into this little container here that just has some water in it. I'll probably end up stirring it with my scissors. Don't worry, they're sterilized before the video, just to get that kind of mixed in. And I'm gonna do that before I cut the plant because they are sterile right now. So we'll mix this one and we'll set it aside and forget about it. And I don't measure, I just kind of know I'm doing a little drop. That's good, I'm gonna do a little bit more. There we go. This stuff smells like vitamins. It literally smells like opening up a liquid bottle of vitamins. It's by Super Thrive, and I get it on Amazon. And it's got a picture of this adorable guy with his big old smile. So we'll see if you guys can see that. Also the Neem oil brand that I use. I get it at our local store, Zamzo's. It's a nursery. So, okay, we got that in there. I'm gonna use my scissors. They're pretty sterile, so that'll work out well. And then we're just gonna move this aside. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is I just have a brown paper bag from grocery shopping, and I'm gonna use this bag to actually capture my old soil, and then I'll let it dry out in here. So I use bags, I use boxes, I use about anything. Now, one thing I'm gonna point out right now, you can't squeeze a pot like this. So I prefer to have most of my plants, especially the smaller ones, once they're fully established and I know they're gonna be in their larger pots for a longer period of time, I don't worry as much. However, they are the ones that are the biggest pain to take out. So honestly, probably should still do it. Nursery pots. Get a nursery pot that fits your plant, that's a really good size. Find your pot you like that fits that nursery pot, and now you have a win-win. You can take your nursery pot out and you can give it a squeeze. What that does is it loosens up all the soil in there and the roots, and it helps so that it's not really damaging the plant when you're pulling it out. I can't do that with terracotta. The other thing too is terracotta is actually not that good of a type of pot unless you really understand your watering schedules, because terracotta will naturally dry out quicker than any other ones because it naturally pulls the moisture out. So if you are somebody that likes to overwater your plants and give them a little extra love and you tend to lose them because of root rots, I will retract everything I just said about nursery pots and tell you to go grab terracotta pots because it'll help you not overwater. But if you're not having issues with that and you like to repot up and keep your plants, resize them up, nursery pots. Okay, so we're just gonna do this. I do have underneath me a little rug that I always put on my table here. Otherwise my husband would kill me. He tells me that there is dirt everywhere in this house, and he's right. But he did tell me it irritates the heck out of him, but he's like, when you're gone one day, if there's dirt in the sink, nobody is allowed to clean the sink. He's like, he'll leave every bit of the trace of all of the dirt around the house to remind him of my plants and me. He's a good man. All right, so all I'm doing right now, and it's kind of hard to see because I've got this box. Oh, shoot, why not? We'll just break it so y'all can see it. I don't care. So I am getting my hands in here and I'm just kind of playing with the dirt. That's it. I'm breaking it up. All right, so I'm just gently working in the roots. I'm actually not even picking it up. I'm moving down as far as I can feel the roots, and I'm trying to break up as much of the dirt as I possibly can while it's in here without picking up the plant and moving it. I can tell, so the top part of this plant was extremely dry. The bottom part of this plant was extremely wet. So the lady that has been watering it, she's newer in the office and she's doing a fabulous job. And she's just watering it once a week. So she's going by the, I'm gonna go on a water schedule and water once a week. Well, the problem with it is we don't know how far down the root system goes. We don't know if that watering once a week is good for that specific plant. There's a lot of factors that go into it. So one of the things that I'm going to teach her when I take this back down there after I'm done with this video is I'm going to teach her the field test. And I'm actually going to take this over there slightly dry. My mix here has a tiny bit of moisture, and we'll talk about my mix in a minute. But I'm going to take it over slightly dry, and I'm going to walk with her back into the back room, and I'm going to have her water the plant completely through. And I'm going to have her see the difference in what it feels like when it was almost dry versus what it feels like when it's completely dry. And then when she goes to pick it up, I want her to feel as light, if not lighter, as the way that it's going to feel when I hand it to her today. So that should help ensure that she starts to kind of feel and understand this specific plant's need. The other thing that I'm doing, not only am I doing the plants just because I love sharing extra plants with people, but I'm adding those in because they're gonna add additional roots to the mix. So the Neon Pothos, I'll show you in a minute the root mass of that. That one, if I remember correctly, is pretty long. And then the Brazils have been there for umpteen million months. And so both of those have established roots, which are gonna fill in the space a little bit, and it's gonna help soak up a little bit of the extra moisture. So I always hear people like talking about mixed pots. The ones at the stores, horrible. They don't know what they're doing. They don't do it right. It's not in the right mix. But all in all, mix them in, have fun. Make your plants look pretty. If you look behind me, you can see this big guy over here. I'm not sure if you can see him completely. But this guy over here, he's got 5 different plants in it, and I've got wood in it, I've got rocks in it, I've got so many different things on the bottom to help it thrive and survive. And I can just kind of turn it here. And as I turn it, you can see more and more. We've got some Brazil in here. We've got some Baltic blues in here. We've got a black gold philodendron in here. We've got a monstera. We've got global glacier in the back. So I have a beautiful mix here that thrives, although I'm trying to move it off of its container, which would probably be really bad. I've got another one over here too. Let me show you guys another mixed pot. I want you guys to see how cool these can look. So this is another mixed pot that I have. So don't be afraid to take a bunch of clippings and put them together into a pot and make something beautiful. Just make sure that you're giving it not too much space underneath where the roots are, and make sure that they're nice and tight in there and that you have a good mix. So I'm gonna pause really quick. I'm gonna go grab myself a different pot. I'm gonna show you guys the root system here so that you can see what type of size I'm looking for. So it's got a really, really good root system. I don't see any areas of rot that are left on here. There wasn't any rot. It was just kind of mush, almost there. I'll dry it out a teensy bit until we soak it when I get it down there. So give me just a minute, guys, and I'm gonna pause the video and be right back. All right, so I found the pot that I wanted and a nice little outside to it too. No, I'm not potting in this big old massy thing here. I'm potting in a nursery pot. So I like to do the nursery pots and drop it into something nice. I'm gonna take the terracotta pot and I am going to clean this to high heck. Before reusing it. It's got nasty mold in it. It's got a whole bunch of stuff in it. I just don't like terracotta. What I like to do with terracotta is take a hammer to it and make a fairy garden. So you can take terracotta pots, break the front half, take the front half piece, break it into little pieces, use the little pieces to build little walls with your dirt, take little pebbles, put a plant at the top. Oh my gosh, I've got pictures in old Facebook posts I'll bring up and try to see if I can find and show you. But we'll do a little video someday down the road with Leah where we do terracotta pots. They're so much fun. So anyways, that's probably what will wind up happening with this one. Down at the dentist's office, they told me I could keep it. All right, so we're gonna put that down under the ground, and now we're going to treat. So in order to treat our plant, we've got to put together a mix. So I've already talked about it a little bit. I've got my water here. No, this is not bleach. I just wrote on the container bleach. It is pure water. I've cleaned it out, triple cleaned it out, and used it for many other things. So this is one of my plant bottles. Now for the neem oil, because I'm so good at measuring things, I'm just going to kind of eye it and pour in a little bit. I would say I'm doing about half a tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon. Not a tablespoon, about half a tablespoon for that one. And it's going to turn a milky white. So it comes out this little like orange. And this is a very concentrated version. Okay, I count by seconds. That was 3 seconds, I think, just about. I'll look at the video. All right, so you can see it's kind of turning this milky orangey color. So now I'm going to mix this all up. I'm going to run and grab a paper towel. Always forget something. Last video it was the cinnamon. This video it was a paper towel. All right. My dogs are going crazy. My apologies. So next we're going to take the Dawn dish soap. And I'm just going to do 2 drops. 3 drops. So what the Dawn dish soap, okay, that was more like 4. What the dish soap does for you is a couple things. It actually helps the neem oil stick to the plant a little bit better so that it has time to actually do its job. The second thing is it's soap and it cleans. So the Dawn dish soap will clean as well. So now I've got a nice little mixture. Before I do any of the cinnamon or anything like that, I'm just going to spray it all. I'm going to spray the roots, and I don't want to do it over the container for which I'm using soil. There we go, we'll use that one. Moving things around here, always organizing. All right, so I'm just going to spray the roots just a little bit. We can leave it on, doesn't matter. Spray the roots just a little, not very much. And now the top part. The top part is where the cleaning comes in. So I am moving the dirt and I am laying this bad boy down as gently as I can. Now I'm going to remove these ones right now. I don't need to focus on cleaning the leaf for these. We're just going to snip both of them off. And I'm snipping them up on the top here. I know it's already had an activation and a growth point, at least on this one. Actually, there's already been a split off of that one. This one has not split yet, and I can already see in there, more than likely we'll get a new leaf from this one. The goal is to be able to stop the rust disease from spreading further so that when we do get our new leaves, it's nice and healthy. I am going to go through, I'm going to remove some of the ick that I can. I don't pull too hard if it doesn't want to come off. It's not ready to come off yet. We've got a couple dead leaves in here, so we're going to pull those out too. Just some spots. I want to get as much of the dead dried stuff off before I spray it with the neem oil on the foliage, because I'm really going to be focusing on giving it a complete and total rub down. I want to make sure that we can stop this rust disease and let this beautiful plant grow. We may get a couple leaves that have some spots on it the next couple times, but as long as we continue to do what I'm doing right now, which is literally going to be drenching this. This is why I have a big old thing underneath me, because this is going to start dripping through the table, because I am drenching everywhere. And the smell is not good, and I have a brand new leaf here. So this is a sad situation where I have to spray and I have to get in, and it might rot, so I'm going to shake as much of the moisture, and I might even grab a Q-tip and get in there to make sure that I get that moisture out. So for those of you that spray your plants for misting, make sure that if you're ever spraying a brand new leaf that you do not leave any of that moisture in there. If you do that, it's the perfect breeding ground for bacteria and mold and all of the icky that we don't want on our plant. So as you can see, this is dripping everywhere. All right. Okay. This looks really good. And now I'm going to give it a rub down. So what I'm going to do is go in here and I am just going to start cleaning. And I'm going to do one more spray down. After this gets into the pot, I'm going to do a light little spray everywhere except the new leaf. And I'm going to let it just sit and kind of dry a little bit. It'll smell funky, but it's okay. And I'm just getting into that brand new baby leaf right now. I'm just kind of really gently working my way in there. I don't want that moisture stuck in there. So there's a part that's still slightly curled, but I think I was able to drip off quite a bit. We'll put some cinnamon on the top cuttings here in a minute. But I'm just working my way up the foliage. So kind of going from the bottom, brush it off. All right. Just kind of keep going. It doesn't matter whether or not you have a little bit left over on it. Just don't let it be in the curled up leaves. And then I am going to probably stop by the shop. I'm going to stop by my dentist office probably next week, and I'm going to do another spray down for her. And I'm going to help make sure that the foliage is staying nice and healthy. And then we're just going to kind of keep up on it. Now, the other thing I did want to point out is the dots that are on these leaves here, you can also get similar looking markings just simply because your plant is deprived of nutrients. So that happens actually way more often than not when it comes to philodendrons. Oh, I am gonna have a soggy mess of a bag to pick up. That is gonna be a mess. Boxes. Anyways, so if you start noticing little dots and stuff like that on your plants, and it doesn't really look like it's indenting in it or anything, it's just a discoloration, there's a very big likelihood that it's not rust disease and it's just malnourishment. Get yourself some good fertilizer, maybe switch up the soil. Has it been a long time since you repotted? I mean, there's a couple different questions you can ask yourself, but the point is it's kind of all the same care, because if it's rust, you want to do what we just did. If it's malnutrition, you want to do what we just did. It is never a bad idea when you've had a plant for a while and you're starting to see some funkiness to uproot it and take a look what's underneath. Right, so the mix that we have here is a nice little chunky mix that I create for everything, and I've written it down in the comments of my Facebook group, One Plant Short of Crazy. But for everybody listening, my mix is 1/3 orchid bark, 1/3 perlite, and 1/3 cactus soil or potting soil. I like cactus soil. It just dries a little bit. I mean, I even have big old chunks here of bark. It's beautiful. I love this mix. I did add just a little bit of cocoa coir in here, just because I knew I was going to be going to a slightly different type pot. It was going to be a slightly shorter one. So we are just going to fill this bad boy up right now. It's nice and mixed. Get about halfway full. When I do phyllos, pothos, anything like that, what I do is I like to hold the plant up while I'm adding my dirt. If you do this, you're going to make sure that you're not putting this green part underneath the soil. One of the easiest ways when repotting a plant to lose leaves on the outside is to put the leaf into soil when it hadn't been in soil at any point in time other up until then. All right. So we're just going to add it while I hold it. I'll reposition it down if I need to. Right now I'm holding it fairly high. I'm adding the dirt around the pot and I'm kind of moving it underneath and in between all the roots. Now I'm getting to a level that I like. So I'm going to kind of just set it where I want it. And then I'm going to work the dirt. Now I need to go to the other side and it's going to wobble because I haven't really put anything over here yet. When I do this, it's a good time to kind of reposition again. There we go. It's getting some good ground. I don't want to do it completely yet because we're going to add some additions on both sides here. So it's going to just kind of lean for a minute. Whoop, or fall. But here comes the fun part. We're going to take these bad boys here. There's roots everywhere. I'm not going to break up too much of the moss. I might just throw the whole darn thing in there, but I'm going to kind of stretch it out a little bit so that we can let these babies kind of explore out. And I'm actually setting it almost directly on top of the soil where my top line is of my pot. Totally fine. What I'm going to do is put a light little layer of dirt on top of the moss, and through watering, through growing, through all of that, the moss will slowly just kind of go and do its thing. It could come back to life too if it's kind of nice and happy. So moss is extremely good. You just don't want a whole pot of it mixed in with soil and all of that, depending on what type of plant you have. So I'm going to put this guy over here. I think he'll look really cool hanging out. We're going to pull off this bottom one right here. Okay. And then I'm just going to tuck him kind of behind our Berkin so that they can kind of grow together, because this should eventually vine and grab into the Berkin, which will be fun because it'll start to grow together All right, we're almost there. All right, I got that kind of in. I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of soil around the moss that I have, and I'll make sure that I'm not completely covering up any of the leaves in there. For this, we gotta really pack in some dirt. Like I said, I'm covering up that stem of the neon pothos because I want it to grow and have more activation points. We're almost there, guys. Oh, this is gonna be so pretty. I'm so excited to see how the ladies like their new baby. All cleaned up and happy. We'll have hopefully some new growth coming in. All right, let's get our last little bit over here with the Brazil philodendrons. Also the pothos, the philodendron, the Berkin. Berkins are philodendrons as well. All of them take the same care. All of them take the same watering. So they pair extremely well together when you put them in a pot like this. And usually what I find happening is all these little babies start popping up once they get in with something else. And they just kind of go crazy. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm out in nature with other plants, yay! I don't know, it just creates a really cool mix. All right, so we've got a peekaboo plant in the back. We've got our star in the front. We need to add our cinnamon really quick. We can't forget about that for the cuttings, especially for the ones that have the rust disease, because I want that cinnamon to go in there. So all we're going to do for the cinnamon is I'm just going to pour some directly in my hand, and I'm going to pinch it. I'm going to come over, and I'm literally just putting a whole entire dab directly on the top until the whole entire cut is completely covered. I'm going to do the same thing on the front here, so you guys will be able to see a little bit more. I've just got a big old clump, putting it directly on the end there. So that's going to help it callus. It's also going to help with any of the rust disease that possibly is in there. Hopefully it'll go in, it'll do its job, it'll start killing some stuff off. So the last thing, I know I said I wasn't going to water it until I got there, but I want to give it just a teensy bit, and it's already pretty heavy because the soil was more moist than I thought. So I am going to give a slight little watering, and then I'm going to take an example plant over there that is a Berkin that needs to be watered, and I haven't watered it yet. And I'm going to let her feel how light that one is, because this plant is not going to need to be watered for probably 2 weeks. Even during growing season, maybe a week, not sure, maybe, but I would say more about 2. All right, well there you have it, guys. Let me bring it up so you guys can see the final results. We now have a much happier Berkin. There's still one leaf on here that has some. I'm leaving that on because it only has a couple spots, and I'm hoping we stop it. We've got our neon pothos over here. We've got some Brazil. I'm going to stop the video here in a minute and go clean myself up and the plant up a little bit, make it look a little prettier before I take it back to where it goes. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this today and learned a little bit. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, concerns, emotional outbursts. Let me know if you liked it. I'm still learning, trying to build a base here and trying to build, material that you guys can use and be able to walk through with me with your own plants. And if we are able to accomplish that, we should all be able to take care of the plants and thrive together and grow with them. So thank you again for joining me today. And as always, I am one plant short of crazy.